I want to firstly say a massive thank you for both of you for taking the time today. My name is Jessica Schwartz. I'm here on behalf of the Women's Rights Team of the Global Human Rights Defense based in The Hague, Netherlands. We are here today to discuss women's rights and women in STEM, focusing specifically on NASA in America, which is why we have kindly invited Sandra Cauffman for this interview. I would now like to ask my two fellow
panelists.
Yes, panelists, that's the word, to introduce themselves. Patricia, please will you go first?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Patricia. I'm the former head and founder of the organization Women in STEM, based in Amsterdam in the Vrije Universiteit. And thank you, Sandra, again from my side as well for giving us the time.
Yeah, and I am Sandra Cauffman. I am the Deputy Director for the Astrophysics Division at NASA, and glad to be here speaking with both of you.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to start the interview off by first asking you, Sandra, about your background in education as well as career, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so like I said, I am the Deputy Director for the Astrophysics Division at NASA. I have been at NASA working for 32 years. February was my 32nd anniversary. I started as a contractor for 3 years prior to that. So I have been working at NASA for like 35 years. It's been a long career. But you can hear I have an accent. I was born in Costa Rica. And I came to the United States 40 years ago in pursuit of my dream of studying electrical engineering. When I was in Costa Rica, I could not study what I wanted to because in the view, I was a woman and a woman did not pursue electrical engineering degrees. So the engineering that I was supposed to study, and I spent 3.5 years was in industrial engineering. It was more along the lines of quality control and working in factories than climbing on telephone poles or electrical poles, right? And so that's the way they view things. So I decided after 3.5 years in the University of Costa Rica to come to the United States and pursue my dream of studying electrical engineering. And I spent about a year learning English after I came, because when I came I could not speak any English, and then I was able to get a job, and I spent the next 3.5 years working full-time and going to school full-time until I finally graduated with electrical engineering and physics. I have 2 bachelors, electrical engineering and physics, and I have a master's in electrical engineering. And I guess the 3.5 years that I spent in industrial engineering have to count for something, right? So, my studies and everything enabled me to land a job as a contractor for NASA and eventually as a civil servant, which is how we call the government employees. And it's been a wonderful career. I've done many jobs through the years, and today, as the deputy for the Astrophysics Division, I hold one of the few senior executive service positions in the NASA leadership position. And NASA, including contractors and civil servants, we have about 17,000 employees and only about 400 in so many of these positions, you know, so they are very competitive and hard to obtain. And I was able to land this position as a senior executive in 2016, first as the deputy director for the earth science, and now a couple of years ago as the deputy director for astrophysics. So, been great.
Well, congratulations on how far you've come. Sounds indeed like a very impressive career, and to think that they originally weren't even going to let you study the engineering that you wanted to. So here you are with multiple degrees in engineering. So you've mentioned a bit the sort of academic obstacles that you experienced very early on. Would you mind elaborating a bit on other obstacles or challenges you faced throughout your career, either in education or professionally?
Yeah, so, I guess I expected the situation in Costa Rica, when I pursued my engineering degree. I did get accepted in the engineering program, but I could not study the engineering that I wanted to. And, and having a male tell me that I could not because I was a woman, that was a little, demeaning. But when I came here, I was finally able to start in electrical engineering. We were 3 women in the electrical engineering program at the time. And the 3 of us were in this class, and this professor came in, and the first day of classes, he goes, you and you are not going to be here at the end of the semester. And we looked at each other and we banded together and was like, we're going to do a really good job. And we did such a good job. We were mentoring our fellow classmates on the class, and we actually helped lift up the average in the whole semester, because of the 3 of us. So we not only did well, but we helped our classmates, and we showed the professor that we were more capable than our fellow classmates. So and then in the work environment, once I started working, I was only one of the few women. The other 2 women that I worked with, one was a software engineer, and the other one was an industrial engineer. And in those days, women were more viewed as software or the industrial, quality control type people, not so much as hardware developers, right? And which is what I ended up doing more on the hardware side, building instruments and working on building a spacecraft. Nowadays things have changed dramatically. But I was sometimes early on, confused with the secretary admin. Women were more in the admin, and especially since I'm not just a female, I'm a minority, right? And sometimes minorities are also viewed as the secretarial clerical type work. I try to give my place, and I would say, no, I'm not going to make copies, or I'm not going to bring you coffee. I will I will do the engineering work that I'm paid to do. It's been challenge. I have to say that NASA hasn't been bad for me in terms of STEM, and except for the few and far in between men that have made some comments and everything, NASA has been a great place to work. The one thing that I have probably a little more complaint about, and again, is just some individuals, and in a few occasions with the sexual harassment, and being a female, they don't respect the lines. That we are co-workers, and that I'm married, that I have kids, and again, I draw the line, and I express, that this is not appropriate, and try to leave things in a good place. With I have to work with these men anyways, right? And so I try to make sure that that is not a bad situation made worse, right? I just express my opinion that it is not appropriate, and I'm not interested, and leave it at that. If they continue in that behavior, I will elevate it to the proper authorities. And once you say that, they back off. But those are the couple of things that I can share.
First of all, I'm so sorry to hear that you have had negative experiences at all. And secondly, you've sort of mentioned how you've overcome, at least educationally, these obstacles or challenges in your way. How else have you sort of tried to overcome biases against you as a woman in STEM?
Well, basically, is by demonstrating that I too have the capacity to do the work. That I'm not going to shy away from the work that needs to be done. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I cannot do the work. I never say no to a challenge. They give me a challenge, I will try to take it on. And of course, we all have fears and we all have uncertainties. But just because I am not so sure of what needs to be done doesn't mean that I cannot do it, and doesn't mean that I cannot learn. So I am never afraid to take on a new role and take it and say, you know, by the way, I might have to ask you some questions. I might have to get some feedback. But you know, in the process, you know, I have learned new things. I have learned new tools that have enabled me to progress in my career. And I just try to be, you know, the best employee that I can, but not for the employer, but for myself in many ways. You know, I mean, I don't want to say a little bit of selfish in this manner, but you know, I want to go to bed at night knowing that I did the best job that I could that day, and not leave any loose ends. And so I really work my hardest to do the best job that I can, and and demonstrate that that I am capable of being where I am.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Now we will pivot a bit and focus more specifically on NASA and its experiences with women's rights. So my question for you is how you think NASA fares in terms of women's rights and gender equality, and if you've noticed any changes over the years.
Absolutely, yeah. NASA is a fabulous place to work for women. In fact, we have a survey every year, the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey, and NASA gets is the best place to work in government. It's been the best place to work in the federal government of the United States for the last 10 years. I think we're going on 11 years. But it's not only good for the employees in general, but for women. And in the 30-some years that I have been working for NASA, I have seen a huge change where the women are not only just coming into the workforce, but they're also advancing in their careers and completely shatter that glass ceiling, that the proverbial, you know, glass ceiling. Nowadays, the director for the science mission director, for example, is a woman, and the deputy is a woman. Of all the science divisions that we have, pretty much all of them are run by women except for one, which is my boss. You know, and then we have 3 women in the deputy roles, you know, and I'm one of them. So there are a lot of leadership positions that women are taking on right now. The Goddard Space Flight Center, where I started working, you know, so many years ago, they just appointed the first female director for the whole center, which is amazing, you know, with Mackenzie Lindstrup taking the helm of the Goddard Space Flight Center. And then the flight projects director within Goddard is led by a woman, you know. So and then, you know, I look across the agency, and there are a couple of center directors across the agency, you know, and it's just seeing that is not only attracting the women in STEM careers and doing engineering work at a lower level, and you know, but the women are actually advancing in leadership positions within the agency. And that says a lot about the culture at NASA, you know, is very inclusive. And in fact, inclusivity is one of the last goals that they added, you know, to the idea, you know, inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility. You know, it is the complete idea that NASA has and has been instilled in all our workers. You know, so it is a fabulous place to work for women and men alike, and it's a huge team work that we do, and we are listening to all the voices, no matter where they come from.
That is definitely, you know, the kind of progress we want to hear, especially as, you know, with the past couple of decades, we've seen an increase in female participation across, you know, all industries. But to hear that they're not just being employed, but also advancing to more higher up levels is incredible to hear. Do you feel that it is still accurate to describe NASA as a male-dominated environment? And do you find that gender stereotypes are still prevalent in NASA today?
When I started 35 years ago or something like that, I would have said yes. But I think things have changed dramatically since then, and while perhaps we might still have more men than women, there is more parity. There is more equal treatment between women and men. And because we're a government agency, they have to pay for like work, like money, so there is not the discrepancy that you see in the industry, so there are issues in industry still that need to be resolved when in terms of pay equity, between females and males. But because NASA, we are all government employees, we do get paid equitably the same, at that level, so we don't see that in general. Federal employees get paid a lot less than our counterparts in the industry, but that's a different story. But but there is, like I said, more opportunity for women, and to have a voice, and to advance to leadership positions, and there might be some pockets here and there where some things are a little more male dominated, but in general, women's voices are heard and welcome.
That is great to hear. Do you feel like there are more areas that NASA, or broadly speaking STEM, can do to improve female participation?
Well, always increasing the pipeline is important. People like me, I'm at the end of my career. I will retire eventually, and it will be, good to continue to plant those seeds, in little girls and little boys, because we need, to hear all the voices, to come and take on the jobs that we're leaving behind, and to continue, really helping the younger generation to take on these roles, and knowing that there is a career path for them. But the other aspect of NASA is a well-known brand across the world. This is not, just for the employees that we have in the agency, or even the United States, is to lead by example, knowing that NASA has men and women and people of all walk of life doing the amazing missions that we do, for the scientific value for the world, for the technological value for the world, all the good data, all the good technology that comes, from what we do, and be an example for the rest of the world, that all the little boys and all the little girls out there can dream up of space and space exploration, and pursue any careers that they want, and being a female, or being from a country that doesn't have a space agency, it's not an impediment to pursue a career in STEM, right? And so I take it upon myself to go to when I travel in other countries, to get contacts with the American embassies, and through their mission programs, go to schools and high schools, colleges, and try to plant some seeds across the spectrum, and motivate those kids to dream big, and they too can be in these careers, STEM careers, and help advance their own countries, where they are. They don't have to come and work for NASA to work in some of these areas. Every country has different technologies and different things that they can work on. So it is important that that we can continue to motivate, from the NASA perspective, all of these other careers across the world that are going to help us continue to advance as a human species, because that's what we are going to continue doing. Right?
Well, I hope you can consider our humble interview and report a small part of your journey of spreading the message that STEM and NASA is and are open to everyone. My next question for you is how important you deem mentorship and networking for working in STEM, or if you have had any significant mentors that have influenced and impacted your career.
Yeah, mentors are so important for the health of anybody, anybody in STEM and not STEM. It doesn't matter what career. Having a mentor or multiple mentors is extremely important. And having a mentor that doesn't think like you, that can help you find your blind spots is also important. And the best mentors that I have had have been the mentors that help me find my own path, not the ones that tell me what to do. You know, and some people think that being a mentor is to tell the mentee what to do, and that's not the purpose of being a mentor. The purpose of being a mentor is to help that individual reach their potential where they come from, right? And through a series of dialogue and questions and answers and everything, you know, you can help the individuals reach their potential or find their path, you know, in a given situation. And so I have always had mentors, and I've always had male mentors, except for when I was acting director for the Neuroscience Division for 17 months, where I had a female mentor for the first time, who turns out to be now the director for the Science Mission Directorate, you know. So it was fabulous to work with a female mentor that I had never had before. But a male mentor will do just as good. You know, women mentor relation, you know, women man mentor relationship works just as good. It's just the dialogue. It's just the interaction. It's just how the mentor and the mentee, you know, bond and are able to talk to each other. And of course, I have mentored many, you know, men and women across my career as well. And you know, even early on, one of the mentors told me, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're starting on your career or later in your career, you know, try to be a mentor to somebody who needs, you know, somebody younger. And so that's what I have done, you know. And so right now I have 3 mentees, and I try to do the same thing that I was always, you know, the good mentors that I felt good mentors to me, you know, did to me, you know. And it's, you know, through questions and answers, help these people find their path, you know, and not tell them what to do. So it is you know, imperative for the health of any professional to have a mentor or mentors.
Well, I have no doubt that you are a great role model and representative to those who are to come. My next question looks a bit more to the future. How do you see NASA evolving in terms of gender representation and equality in the coming years?
Well, NASA is doing fabulous. Like I said, I think they really are attracting a lot of women, and a lot of women are now, you know, holding leadership positions. So we are really in good shape there. But like I said, I think we still need to attract more females in the pipeline. And because, you know, some of us are retiring and we're not going to be around for, you know, for the near foreseeable future. And, you know, so it will be good to make sure that we reach full parity, men and women, and that everybody ignore the fact that we're men and women, and that we together, you know, we need to hear all voices, that we, you know, it doesn't matter whether you are this or that you are contributing to a space program and you know, in the human exploration of you know, whatever we're doing in the future, right? It is we need all the voices, we need all kinds of careers, and continuing to plant seeds across the world, you know, for that pipeline is important.
Great. Thank you so much. My last and final question for you is, what advice would you give to young girls and young women interested in pursuing careers either in STEM or space exploration in general?
Well, everything that starts in my book with a dream, right? You have to have a huge, big, hairy, audacious dream. And the crazier it is, the better. And not because you can reach that dream, not because you can, you know, you're really, you know, trying to get there. You know, my dream when I was 7 years old was to go to the moon. Well, I never went to the moon. that's beside the point. I always say that I never went to the moon, but I landed among the stars. That's what I I said. But that dream, you use it as a compass to know your path, to know where you have to go, to help you in the decisions that you have to make along your path and your career. And you know, and so it is important to have a dream that can help you in the direction that you need to pursue, right? And if you are really going in a different track, you use that dream to know I'm going in the wrong way. I need to make some adjustments, and I need to continue going in the path that my compass is pointing to. The other thing is never give up at the first no. You know, and some people just when a door is closing their noses, they just go and cry, and they are the victims, and they said no, and I'm not going to do it again, and they are afraid, and you know, but if you give up at the first no, you'll never know if the next time is when the door would open for you, you know. And so it is not also with the intent of trying again the same way and expecting different results. You know, you have to reinvent yourself a little bit and understand why they say no, and understand what adjustments you need to make. You know, it's not a whole change on your persona or what you need to do, but what adjustments, small adjustments you need to make in order to maximize the chances that the next time you're going to get a yes. But don't give up at the first no, or the second, or the third. You know, keep on trying, and again, use that dream as the compass, you know, for what you need to do. So, you know, big dream and never give up at the first no is my big messages, you know.
Well, I think that is great advice, no matter who you are, what you're trying to accomplish. Thank you so much again for your time and your inspirational words and just wisdom on working as a woman in STEM. With that, I would like to conclude this interview. Thank you both again so much for your time.